I've had significant health issues over the last several days. I am so glad I figured out an easier way of moving pigs. I'm Rob from Dattle Family Farms, and I have spent countless hours rolling up and unrolling and setting up temporary fence paddocks. And I can't tell you the number of times I've gotten frustrated, screaming, hollering, and almost losing my religion a couple of times trying to move pigs between paddocks. They've either gotten loose or something went wrong. I have discovered a easy way of moving pigs that maximizes their use of forage while also giving them something new to graze on every day or every other day. Come along with me as I move the pigs and I'll show you this system. A week and a half ago, I moved this group of breeder gilts in here with our boar and moved them all into this paddock. They have been strip grazing it, eating some of the most nutritious forages and still grazing some of the other stuff like sorghum and sudan grass, but they've missed some of the least nutritious forages. So you can see where I've been strip grazing, and today I'm going to give them access to this final strip of forage in here, and then 2 days later I'll move them over in that next paddock. I'm going to put the camera on my chest so you can see how I'm setting up this paddock firsthand. Now, other than the camera equipment, the only thing I brought out here with me today is a hammer. This I rolled up from the last paddock that I gave them, and I'm going to set it up and then move the pigs in here. Like cows, pigs benefit from more frequent moves. The problem with moving pigs very frequently is it tends to be stressful for the pigs, and or it tends to be problematic for the person moving the pigs. They don't function very well with moves, especially when you set up new wallows, water, and feed bins. Having the right tools with what you're doing helps dramatically. One of the things that I found are these little handles. They're about $2 a piece. They come in packs of 10 or 12, and they're insulated, and they work really well for setting up paddocks without having to cut wire or anything. You can tell that you just slide the thing through there, make a loop like that, pull, and it's got it tight. It works beautifully. If we want pigs to make the best utilization of our pasture, the thing that's important to do is to move the pigs as frequently as possible, usually every day or two. Moving water and establishing wallows is a huge pain in the neck. So the thing that I've found to be the most beneficial is strip grazing. We get the benefits of having the pigs in the same paddock for a week or so, but the biggest difference is that we don't have to move the pigs home base. We set up the paddock. This is a long, skinny paddock. It's 80 feet wide, 500 or 600 feet long. And so they've got a section in the woods. We start them back there and then give them a new strip of forage every day or two. Because it's 80 feet wide, it's just a matter of setting up one temporary post. Honestly, with these breeder gilts and Ferdinand, I could just set up a single wire without a post in the middle. And now you'll hear people say that pigs won't cross in an electric line where a fence was. But I want you to watch this right here and tell me if that's true. Pigs are already crossing where that electric fence was because they have been trained to know that when I pull up the fence, they can cross it. Of all the years that we've raised pigs, we've only had one pig that would not cross an electric fence where there was one up before. The reason it was a problem is because one, it was the first group of pigs that I raised, and to be honest with you, I did not know what I was doing when training the pigs. Every other pig that we've had has learned that they can cross where an electric fence was. It did take them a little bit of time to figure it out. It amazes me that even a 6 or 8 week old piglet, see that piglet, that gilt there eating chicory? She is thriving on this pasture. It boggles my mind to see the little piglets do it. Of course, she's still getting most of her substantive nutrition from mom, and she gets substantive nutrition from the feed that we put out. I usually put out a little bit of grain outside the fence so that she can go underneath it with her siblings to get it. If you're wondering what kind of feed savings I'll have on this paddock, let's run through the numbers on that real quick. I think I'll have another 2 days on this paddock, but I'll probably feed some grain tomorrow. So if we're looking at that, that's roughly 50 pounds a day for the 11 pigs. I've fed them roughly 200, maybe 250 pounds of feed for the 14 days that I've had them in here. That's if I feed them a full ration tomorrow. So we're looking at $50 to $55 of feed grain that I actually put in these pigs in this paddock. If I'd given them their standard ration over the full 14 days that they were in this paddock, I would have given them a little bit over $150 in grain costs for just this handful of pigs. So essentially, by strip grazing this paddock, I've reduced my feed costs by 66% for this 2 weeks. This is not just your standard paddock of grass. This has really nutritious forages that I've intentionally planted for these pigs. There's chicory, a little bit of buckwheat, sunflower, cowpeas, forage soybean, a few brassicas as you can see here, and of course some wild grasses and all. It did not germinate really well. This is actually probably one of the worst pig paddocks that I've planted before. And in terms of cost of planting this paddock, I've got less than $50 of seed cost in planting. So I've saved $100 in feed cost. I've spent $50 on seed. Let's throw $25 for equipment. It's really not that much. That's $75 in just planting this paddock, but it doesn't calculate that most of this forage is going to regrow. And if I do nothing else with this paddock, it'll be ready to graze again. I probably will only get about a week's worth of feed instead of 2 weeks worth of feed out of it if it regrows, because the cowpeas and some of the others won't regrow that well. The beauty though is that this paddock is going to save me a total of about $100 to $125 in feed costs once I regraze it. The biggest difference though is I'm not relying on grain from monoculture agriculture. The pigs are having a blast grazing on the forage. They're reducing their feed costs, and my total time to give them this extra strip of forage was less than 10 minutes. Even with our diverse cover crop mix, we grow some things like sorghum sudan grass that benefit the pigs, but they're not going to get just a whole lot of nutrition from that sorghum sudan grass. But what I found that it does is it does help improve soil. It does help in many other ways, and the pigs will graze it some. If I were to give the pigs this entire strip of paddock, the first day they'd eat all the clover, a lot of the chicory, and then some of the more tender forages. Then they'd move on to the cowpeas and some of the forage soybeans, and then finally they'd do the last stuff. The problem is they would consume the most nutritious forages in the paddock the first 3 days, and the last 10 or 12 days in the paddock, they really would not get much substantive nutrition. But by dividing the paddock into different strips of forage, it increases the competition for all the forages. They will consume more of the less desirable forages, but they'll also reduce their feed cost as well. It just amazes me, hey, buddy, to watch these pigs graze day after day after day. They love it. Now this gilt here is she's a tad undersized from what I'd like. She's not performing quite as well on pasture as I would prefer her to. She's one of the new breeders that we got. We'll see how well she performs. This is one that we raised ourselves. She is one of Midnight's babies, Hampshire with some Duroc genetics, of course. And she is doing well. She comes from a great mothering stock. This is one of the new Durocs. She's a little thin. She's been feeding these 3 Hampshire looking pigs. There are 2 barrows and a gilt. I don't know where the gilt is right now. But she's performed well, surprisingly enough. But pigs forage much better when they're restricted to the amount of space they have. Look at this gilt here. She's wagging her tail as she's eating those soybeans and cowpeas. When you have limited time, when you're sick, or even when you're working a full-time job and farming part-time, you want to make pastured pig moves very easy, less stressful, less time consuming. I have 3 different groups of pastured pigs and about to start a 4th group, and when I can move a group of pigs in less than 10 minutes and it reduces my feed cost by 2/3, increases the quality of my pork, I'll do it every time. Take care and have a great day.